Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide. We are live on the network service of the NTA. I'm Hawa Salihu Adama. Our starting point today is social security, as the National Social Investment Program of the federal government has been uploaded once again. The commendation comes this time around from focal persons appointed by state governors to oversee the effective implementation of various social impact projects. This was during a presentation of scorecard to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Social Disaster Management and Social Development in an interactive session organized by the ministry in Abuja. Ruth Aguele completes the report.
I've been a victim of joblessness for over 4 years, but Empower came in to put a smile on my face.
Beneficiaries clearly excited about the impact of the federal government's national social investment programs in their lives. This feat was made possible with the role played by focal persons who ensure that these interventions are well implemented in grassroots areas across the 36 states and the FCT, presenting their scorecards for the task given to them by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. They are optimistic of the programs with the successes already recorded, which has greatly impacted the lives of the beneficiaries.
We drive this process at state level, and we try as much as we could to see that the program operates within the established protocols.
And in Plateau State, we are very fortunate to have started the implementation of Empower Junior, which is establishment of ICT center in 2 pilot schools.
Like we saw in Abuja State some weeks ago, when we paid out 540 million to beneficiaries of the conditional cash transfer program. For the very first time in their lives, they received money directly into their hands.
For the ministry, these key interventions are timely, as they depict commitment in efforts by the federal government towards eradication of poverty in the country.
There is no doubt that the social investment programs are critical components of the present administration's activities and are vehicles through which His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari's vision of lifting 100 million people out of poverty in the next 10 years will be achieved. It is against this background that I urge every one of you to continue to give in your best to ensure the lives of those who are called to serve are made better.
There are high expectations from the facilitators for an improved service delivery to make a difference in the lives of the poor and vulnerable in the country. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
With the launch of the manual on the use of sign language by interpreters to promote inclusive electoral process, persons living with disability, especially the deaf, now have hope for active participation in elections. Kenneth Nanim reports that the manual is an initiative of the advocacy group Inclusive Friends Association and partners.
Which will help INEC to further improve the relationship and the inclusive electoral process.
National President, Nigerian Association of Deaf, is excited that hope is coming the way of his members.
It gives us, we deaf people, our human right to have access to communication, to information, to all other things linked to the election processes.
Half of the problem, half of the challenges facing deaf is now less.
The deaf is an integral member of this society. They cannot be left out. And you know, when you leave them out that way, sometimes they riot. And people will say deaf is violent. They're not violent. They're only asking for their rights.
The advocacy group also researched on the cost of inclusive elections to improve access for persons with disabilities as a guide for the National Assembly on budgetary allocation for such special persons during elections. Manual on directives by the INEC on COVID-19 protocols for persons with disabilities was also unveiled. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
To education now, parents are being advised to be wary of sending their words to study in countries not recognized by the United Nations and without diplomatic relations with Nigeria. This is part of submissions of guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria as they discuss the fate of Nigerian students studying abroad. Butwamila has that.
Can imagine sending your brother, your beloved brother, to somewhere to study, who was intelligent, smart, brilliant, lovable, and bringing him back in a suitcase?
Mohammed Bello, narrating how his brother, late Ibrahim Khalil Bello, died in northern Cyprus. Like many others, Abike Dabri Erawa, chairman Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, is demanding justice for the 25-year-old Nigerian student. She explained that a portal will be created to help report such issues.
So we're going to have a special portal where students and even Nigerians generally will be registered. We'll launch that very soon. But what I want to tell Nigerians is that we have missions everywhere in the world. Now you're going to hear, oh, they don't care about us, they don't say anything. But what I tell them is, particularly students, when you are studying in any country, at least register at the mission.
The guests also urge parents to do proper investigations before sending their words to schools abroad.
I'm spending 100 grand on my child. I want to know everything that goes on there. I will go to the classroom and sit there.
Parents and all those that are concerned should make sure that before they send their children to Northern Cyprus, they should ask those critical questions.
Let's create a stakeholder group and figure out what to do and how we can prevent such occurrences from happening in the future.
Northern Cyprus, we sent him to that country out of ignorance. It is not beautiful to admit ignorance, but perhaps admitting ignorance will prevent more Nigerian children from being wasted.
They advocate an improvement in the educational sector to discourage parents from sending their children abroad where they are exposed to such hostilities. In Abuja, Putu Miller, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union has called the attention of both federal and state governments to the state of the nation's federal and state colleges of education. President of the body, Nuhu Ogirima, at a media briefing, said the union has been drawing the attention of all concerned to the plight of the institutions and their lecturers since 2010, with assurances of intervention, but nothing has been done till date.
The public should take notice that the NEC shall reconvene to reel out the measures, series of measures that the union shall take.
Abdullahi Musa Suleja reports that the areas of contention for the union include stored renegotiation of 2020 FGN COESU agreement, infrastructure questions related to needs assessment, review of the Act, establishing federal colleges of education agreements, outsourced services and its implication on the college's security, funding and non-response to series of memos, reminding the government of the commitments. This is Nationwide. We're live on the network service of the NTA, and Awal is in our Lagos Network Center with more reports. Hello, Awal. You're on.
Thank you, Hawa. A former managing director in the banking sector, Tokumbo Abiru, is on track to fly the flag of the All Progressives Congress, APC, at the forthcoming Lagos East Senatorial District election scheduled for 31st of October. District. As at the time of filing this report, the collation and announcement of results from Shomolu local government has been concluded, in which the former banker garnered a total vote of 4,837, which were accredited and cast.
I declare Mr. Tokumbo Abiru the winner, having scored the highest votes on this election that conducted on the Shomolu under the APC on the manner of direct primaries.
Olaleye reports that despite having only one aspirant who indicated interest in the position, accreditation and voting were done with strict adherence to COVID-19 guidelines, while security operatives were on ground to maintain law and order for an exercise that witnessed a large turnout of voters. The primary became necessary, sequel to the demise of Bayo Oshinowo, the senator representing Lagos East at the National Assembly. And away from politics, most filling stations across Lagos metropolis have effected the new pump price of petrol, as they now dispense between 160 and 159 naira 99 kobo per litre. Amaka O, who visited some filling stations, now reports.
The increase in the pump price of petrol to 151 naira 56 kobo per litre by Pipeline and Product Marketing Company PPMC, a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC, took effect from September the 2nd, 2020. Most marketers are complying with the directive as it reflects on their respective meters.
Don't have a problem with the price increase. I think as a nation we need to be realistic and grow up. And we cannot rely on subsidies forever and ever. We should take the pain now, and pay what the product costs.
I think it's just nice that there's petrol available. I think when we look at some of the challenges we've had with supplies in the past, the fact that it's available is a good thing, because when there's a scarcity, you really don't care how much it costs.
Some Lagosians say the new pump price will have its impact on cost of transportation and other businesses.
Because of the fuel, they carry it 100 naira instead of 50 naira. It's too much.
We affect the transport now, but it's because of there is shortage of passenger now.
Before this recent increase, marketers were selling petrol at a retail price of between 148 naira and 150 naira. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
The resurgence of illegal slaughter slabs, abattoirs and animal markets in Lagos State will be prevented to guard against the outbreak of diseases. Abolade Salami reports that the next line of action of the Agric Ministry is to regulate the subsector through monitoring and enforcement of relevant laws.
In regulating the activities of red meat sellers towards ensuring their compliance with hygiene and safety in the process of slaughtering and transportation of the meats to the various markets, the Meat Animal Traffic Trading and Slaughtering Law 2003, as well as the Meat Inspection Law of Lagos State 2019, were institutionalized. What seems like a flagrant abuse of the law by some operators in the business is not going down well with the state government, as measures have been put in place to confiscate stray animals, dislodge all illegal slaughter slabs, abattoirs, and regulation of veterinary premises.
You will all agree with me that the menace of illegal slaughter slabs is rearing its ugly head in the state again, with attendant negative public health impact on the over 20 million populace of our dear state. It is therefore all the more imperative that actions be taken to clamp down on these illegal activities.
While the state government is expressing zero tolerance for the existence of illegal slaughter slabs, leadership of some unions said they won't compromise in ensuring members comply with all safety guidelines.
As an association, we compel our members to follow the government directive, and we advise them on the reason why they should make sure that what they give to the populace is also meat.
It is however expected that the activities of the Lagos State Monitoring, Enforcement and Compliance Team will also control the menace of stray animals in the state. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Time for a break. Nationwide continues shortly. Don't go away.
Good to have you back. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has engaged federal controllers of works across the 36 states of the country and the Federal Capital Territory to bring them up to speed with government's expectations and timely delivery of ongoing road projects. At a webinar with the controllers, The minister tasked them to take ownership of roads in their domains and ensure regular supervision of projects to ensure that contractors deliver on schedule. While emphasizing government's huge investment in road infrastructure, the Minister of Works and Housing said controllers must act quickly in the event of distress on any road to ensure its rehabilitation, as government is committed to providing motorable roads across the country.
Maintained there, the forces of nature, climate change, unpredictable rainfall, windstorm, hurricanes across the world, they damage our infrastructure. Wear and tear also damage our infrastructure. So we want you to be the first responders there. So when these things happen, we expect our controllers as our points of service to be the first people there to assure people that, oh, government is already aware that this problem has occurred. Announce what measures you want to take to give immediate relief.
Still on infrastructural development, the collapse of the Rigachukun Bridge and the attendant challenges have been in the news for some days now. Thankfully, work has commenced on the bridge. Abdullahi Mohammed joins us live now from Kaduna with an update on the repair works on the bridge. Hello, Abdullahi. What is the situation with work on the bridge?
Hello, Hawa. Since arrival here a couple of hours ago, we have watched as layers and layers of soil rocks being put through on the same spot that has caved in about 5 days ago. And so far, if you can see behind me, every part of the, a part of the place has caved in, has been refilled. And right now, just a few minutes ago, they started blowing the place in the process of filling in asphalt.
Okay, with the rate of work on the bridge now, do we have a timeline and an estimated time of completion?
Well, they have been working here in the last 3 days. They have not stopped. Every day we come here, we see them working. I've spoken to the controller. I think yesterday he was saying that in a couple of days they should be able to open this place, especially with the fact that he mentioned that the weather, once it is friendly, they will finish maybe 2-3 days. But and as we have seen, the weather has been friendly. There's not much rainfall.
Okay, what's the traffic situation there, and how are motorists coping with the situation? What is the traffic situation there, and how are motorists coping? Abdullah, if you can hear me, I said, what is the traffic situation there, and how are motorists coping?
Okay, thank you, Hawa. I have had the question. If you look this way, you will see clearly that the traffic at the other lane there is moving on slowly without any hindrances. Since morning we've been here, there is no gridlock per se, but most likely it happens around 6 p.m. when articulated vehicles are normally released from the toll gate to come through Kaduna on the way to different parts of northern Nigeria. That's the prime time when gridlock happens on this bridge. But from morning till around 5 o'clock, it's always like this.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. We do hope that this strategic bridge is fixed very soon, considering its importance. Thank you for joining us on Nationwide.
Many thanks, Awa. Many thanks.
Moving on now, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, has directed that secondary schools across the nation accept female students who return to school after the delivery of their babies, as well as those sexually abused, to continue their education. The minister said this at the ministerial session on the 20th Regular National Council on Women Affairs in Abuja. Elizabeth Omorui completes the report.
That ministerial session discussed issues relating to the girl child and women in their homes, offices and society as a result of the lockdown. At the front burner were spousal attacks, rape, genital mutilation, stigmatization and other gender-based violence, addressing how they hamper on the social and economic development of the girl child and women.
We are supporting capacity building for gender desk units in all our line ministries, departments and agencies with support from development partners as defined in the National Gender Policy of 2006. Those ministries and agencies who are yet to set up such desks, please, this is the best time to do so, as any intervention that is committed to COVID-19 response and recovery programs must factor in the gender gaps.
The session, which drew participants from all over the country, virtually advocated the education of women as a sure way of solving their challenges.
All elected positions, political appointments, and government contracts at all levels, federal, state, and local government, should be reserved for women exclusively as affirmative action.
Empowerment of women, proper grooming of the male child, and effective family support system were part of the recommendations preferred to build a healthy society devoid of violence and abuses. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
And from Abuja, we take you to Sokoto, where Abdul Rahman will guide us on contributions from that zone. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Hawa, and welcome to Sokoto. Available data from the National Orientation Agency indicate that Nigeria ranks highest in the open defecation worldwide, second to India. Hugh Muhammad Datti reports that this came to light at a one-day sensitization on open defecation-free Nigeria held in Sokoto, where the Director General of the National Orientation Agency was represented.
Vice President Jemi Oshibanjo in 2016 launched the crusade of open defecation-free Nigeria. Since then, series of efforts have been made by both federal and state governments to effect the crusade in Nigeria. The nationwide sensitization is a collaborative effort between the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and the National Orientation Agency. Researchers have indicated that where open defecation is mostly practiced, highest number of deaths of children as well as higher level of malnutrition are recorded. Director General National Orientation Agency Dr. Gaba Abari emphasized on the need for attitudinal change amongst Nigerians.
This exercise is to make sure we clean out Nigeria. When your family is practicing open defecation, you are not respected.
For the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, coming together of relevant stakeholders will further reduce the adverse effect of open defecation on the people and the environment. Stakeholders maintain that it is imperative for all to fight the menace of open defecation.
What we want to achieve in the Federation is open defecation free.
This ODF issue is a serious issue because it affects every aspect of life.
It is expected at the annual sensitization program here that participants here will go into the nooks and crannies of the 23 local government area of Sokoto State to sensitize the rural dwellers on the effects of open defecation. In Sokoto, I'm sure Muhammad Bati, NTA News.
The need for synergy between community leaders and law enforcement agencies to build on the achievements made in the fight against banditry has been re-echoed. These were the views of speakers at a security stakeholders meeting in Sokoto. Nahatu Abdullahi reports.
Although there is progress in the fight against banditry in Sokoto State and neighboring states of Zamfara and Kebbi, in recent times there are, however, challenges in sustaining it.
And all this issue want to tackle is about the informers. These people, they are with us. They are together with us. They live with us. They are the one who will say, so person has sold his animal, so person has gone to the market and be informing the bandits.
This is among most challenges that informed this Security Stakeholders Forum organized by the Sokoto State Police Command, aimed at sustaining the peace and harmony achieved in the affected areas.
They were peaceful now in Sokoto. Definitely, you see what happened in Sabundoni, whereby enforcement of army personnel, at the same time mobile men, and all security agencies. And it is on this basis that you see that synergy. And that synergy helped us a lot in seeing all these bandit axis within that area has been eradicated.
The hope is that community leaders and their members will collaborate with the law enforcement agencies toward ensuring the progress made is sustained for the development of the society. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
That's it from the seat of the Caliphate. Back to Hawa in Abuja for continuation of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Very well, Abdulrahman. And here in Abuja, the federal government has promised to sustain efforts at making adjustments to new lifestyles and becoming more sensitive to the security underpinnings as experts continue to find vaccines and possible cure for COVID-19. President Muhammadu Buhari said this in his remark to the virtual meeting of the Aqaba process in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. He said Nigeria developed a robust framework led by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 to coordinate and oversee the country's multi-sectorial intergovernmental efforts at containing the spread and mitigating the impact of coronavirus pandemic.
We had established the National Humanitarian Coordination Committee with the responsibility of providing, among others, a national vision for humanitarian actions and settling disputes that may arise from interactions between security services and the humanitarian community. This committee was timely as a stopgap measure in coping with the effects of COVID-19.
President Buhari said the government had also taken measures to tackle the devastation of social and economic dimensions of the pandemic with a focus on the most vulnerable citizens in the society through provision of palliatives as well as other economic stimulus packages.
With the global downturn in the prices of various international commodities and looming global recession, the challenges are no doubt enormous. However, the government will continue to address these socio-economic challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to the nature of our security challenges, Nigeria has created an environment of trust in an effort to ensure that the population continues to believe in the efforts of government while dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Nigeria would continue to count on the support of the international community, especially members of the Aqaba process, in addressing the danger posed by violent extremism in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The president noted that the government will continue to monitor activities of terrorists online to control radicalization of citizens by terrorist groups and other violent cells following the huge traffic online due to COVID-19. The Kano state government says it is working hard to ensure that the state is free of all forms of criminality. This is contained in the report on the security challenge in Kano State presented to Vice President Yemi Osinbajo by Governor of the state Abdullahi Ganduje during a visit to the presidential villa in Abuja.
I submitted a report to him that it is all well in Kano. We are managing. There is high coordination of the security agencies in Kano. They are working very hard. The only problem we have the Falgore forest, which we are providing some infrastructure for military training in order to avoid the bandits to colonize that particular environment, and we are working very hard on that.
State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the governor also spoke on his administration's effort towards boosting the economy and improving education, stressing that the government and people are making huge contributions in achieving these goals. Troops of Operation Accord have killed 4 bandits along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway. A statement by the Coordinator Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, indicates that acting on credible intelligence on the movement of bandits from Kachia area, troops swiftly mobilized to the scene and laid ambush. The Gallant's troop engaged the bandits, neutralizing 4 while others escaped with gunshot wounds. Major General Enenche notes that several arms were recovered while troops dominated the general area with aggressive patrols in search of the fleeing bandits. The military high command congratulates the troops for their dexterity and encourages them to intensify the onslaught against the criminal elements in the country. And still on security, the Nigerian Navy ship Victory has intercepted a wooden boat laden with over 1,500 bags of foreign parboiled rice suspected to have been smuggled from Cameroon. Achibombasi reports that the value of the seized goods, which was destined for Orom in Akwa Ibom State, is estimated at 73,860,000 naira.
Paraded are 2 groups, each comprising 4 members. Items recovered from the first gang was a large wooden boat containing over 1,500 bags of foreign parboiled rice, while the second gang of suspects was arrested with 2 fiber boats containing over 40 bags of foreign parboiled rice. In line with extant regulations, the NNS Victory has handed over the suspects to the Joint Border Patrol Team for further interrogation and prosecution.
We are aware that at times when they do these kidnappings, the fastest way for them to escape is through the creek. And we have our boats at vantage positions that you cannot pass or go out into the sea without us seeing you. So we are on top of our game.
According to our procedure is taking these items to the government warehouse, which we are in charge of, then handing over the suspects to the legal city officer. They take it off from there.
The command reiterates its efforts in not just the arrest of smugglers, but also to curb all forms of illegalities and criminalities within the nation's waterways. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
Still staying with the South, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel says security of lives and property will continue to be a top priority of the present administration in the state. To further advance this course, Governor Emmanuel has sued for partnership with relevant agencies for greater success in tackling insecurity in some parts of the state. The governor said this when he received the General Officer Commanding 6th Division Nigerian Army, Port Harcourt, Major General Olubumi Irefin, on a visit. Susan Asukwa reports.
Emmanuel, while interacting with his guest, appreciated the level of training and exposure given to officers of the Nigerian Army. The governor used the opportunity to call for stronger collaboration between the JTF and the state government to fight insecurity in some part of the state, adding that security is key to development.
Our first call of duty, our first line responsibility is to ensure the security of lives and property. So whatsoever we need to do in this regard, to collaborate and make sure that people sleep and sleep well.
The General Officer Commanding 6th Division, Major General Irefin, commended the governor for securing the federal government's approval of petroleum depot in the state, as well as the support the state government is giving to the 2 brigade in the state.
Our major challenge in the barrack in Ibakwa, which is mainly the issue of power, and that affects water supply. In the past, you have promised to extend your hand of friendship to us, to equally assist us.
The new General Officer Commanding 6th Division, Major General Irefin, took over from his predecessor on July 24, 2020. In Uyo, Susan Asukwo, NTA News.
And we are not done with the military as the Commandant Nigerian Navy Provost and Regulating School, Makudi, Commodore Umar Ayuba, has expressed commitment to secure the Benue State waterways. He gave the assurance when he visited Governor Samuel Otom at the Government House, Makudi. Charles Abba has that.
The
Commandant of the Nigerian Navy Provost and Regulating School, Commodore Umar Ayuba, who acknowledged the great tourist and socio-economic potentials of the River Benue and other rivers in the state, said he would do his best to ensure security in the waterways and other parts of the state. He thanked the governor for his support to the school, especially in the provision of land for its permanent site.
Your Excellency, the river has been very, very useful for many things. Transportation, agriculture, commerce, trade and commerce, and other activities. But also, Your Excellency, this river can be used for any other negative means by other incidents. There should be dominance of the river, presence, not just presence, credible naval presence in the river, so that the security incidences that have been recorded along the river will be averted.
Governor Samuel Otom expressed commitment in working together with security agencies in ensuring peace in the state and assured the commandant of his disposition to create conducive environment for the school.
There are several ways we can work with you to enhance the use of the waterways to support the security architecture of our state.
The commandant had visited the governor with his predecessor about 4 months ago. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Some teenagers who engage in initiation of helpless youth into ritual and cult activities in Abia State have been arrested by the State Police Command. Chinyere Okoli reports that also arrested are 41 suspects for various crimes, including armed robbery, child trafficking and kidnapping.
Parading the suspects before the newsmen, the State Commissioner of Police, Mrs. Janet Abade, said the men of the command, in conjunction with vigilante members in the local government area of the state, arrested some cult groups while initiating their members into Vikings and Arrow fraternity, while other 40 suspects are male who were apprehended from different parts of the state for various offenses. CP Abade, giving the breakdown, said out of the total number, 2 of the suspects were hired assassins, 3 kidnapped suspects, 7 armed robbery suspects, 1 child trafficker, while the rest were arrested for alleged cultism.
When you are being harassed, when you are being disturbed by hoodlums, let us know. We cannot be everywhere, every time. And that is the essence of community policing.
Some of them admit to their crime.
And he told me that if I trust him, that he will kill me. So I closed my mouth, I did not talk.
I don't have a revolver, I have only body too. How did you get the pump action? The pump action is this pen my boy sell it to me.
Exhibits recovered from the suspect were locally made guns, live cartridges, an axe, mobile phones, and substance suspected to be Indian hemp. Abade said all the suspects will be arraigned after police investigations. In Umuahia, Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
We have more reports on Nationwide, but that will be after these messages. Thanks for rejoining us. It's Nationwide. The National Orientation Agency, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, has launched a campaign towards ending open defecation in Rivers State. Robinson Derataide reports that community orientation officers were engaged on the modalities to sensitize people in their environment.
Citizens' engagement towards eradication of open defecation in Nigeria by 2025. Stakeholders call for behavioral change among the citizens in order to change the narrative in Nigeria. It was noted that 1 in 4 Nigerians engage in open defecation, as more than 47 million Nigerians lack access to toilet facilities. The result of open defecation leads to contaminated water supplies, spread of disease, as well as expose the girl child to rape.
At the end of this campaign, and within a very short time, and the cases of open defecation will be drastically reduced.
The federal government have started on building of toilets. The maintenance, it's the core thing, because it's not just for us to construct it. what we expect is a behavioral change.
Appeal to the conscience of the people, communities. They will be able to change their own mindset as regards the open defecation.
Only 27 local government areas have been declared free in open defecation in Nigeria. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Delatede, NTA News.
Now to the latest on COVID-19. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 216 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. In the latest figure, Plateau State has 59 cases, Rivers 27, Abia 22, while Lagos has 20 cases. Other states include Oyo with 18, Enugu 17, while Kaduna and the Federal Capital Territory have 11 each, Ogun 10, Ebonyi, Osun and Ekiti 4 each, with Delta and Edo recording 3 cases each. Akwa Ibom has 2, while Bauchi recorded 1 case. There are now 54,463 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. 42,439 persons have been discharged, while 1,027 persons have unfortunately died of the virus in the country. The Nigeria Governors Forum is leveraging on COVID-19 intervention to increase response capacity in the fight against the pandemic and sustain more commitment for the reopening of critical sectors of the economy under the new normal. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that this was contained in the 16th communique of the forum's teleconference on COVID-19.
In collaboration with Ministry of Health is to release basic health care provision fund to eligible states to sustain services in health care delivery during the coronavirus pandemic. The forum noted the need to increase testing of COVID-19 as the economy gradually reopens and schools prepare to resume, as well as the conduct of elections in some states. The 36 state governors were commended by Rotary International for the seamless coordination of immunization in their states and received a Rotary International Polio Certification Award for their roles in eradication of the virus in Nigeria. The communique also reveals that State's Fiscal Transparency, Accountability and Sustainability Program is introducing a new project with 50% properties to support states to implement 2021 urban electrification projects. Governors are also expected to nominate focal persons to interface with the Ministry of Petroleum Resources on the actualization of the National Gas Expansion Program, and states governments through their Internal Revenue Services how to ensure seamless implementation of tax relief program for businesses and taxpayers. The Nigerian Governors Forum Technical Committee is working to finalize an acceptable framework for the implementation of the Executive Order 10. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And to another COVID-19 related story, as preparations intensify for the Imo North senatorial rerun by election, the Chairman Imo State Task Force on COVID-19, Professor Maurice Iwu, says the task force, in partnership with INEC and political parties, will ensure that the conduct of the election does not breach the NCDC safety guidelines on COVID-19. He stated this while briefing journalists in Owerri.
Announcement of a date for the conduct of by-elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission has not been without due consideration of the need to abide by the COVID-19 rules, which resulted in the earlier suspension of the exercise. With the commencement of primaries ahead of the by-elections for Kiwe senatorial seat, the Imo State Task Force on COVID-19 is leaving nothing to chance towards ensuring adherence to NCDC stipulated preventive measures. Chairman of the task force, Professor Maurice Iwu, says the committee is taking steps to ensure that the election holds in strict compliance with COVID-19 guidelines, particularly with regards to social distancing and use of face mask.
We want them to take it the same way that they do church services, weddings, burials, and so on, and limit the gathering, which is still within the state statute rules.
not more than 50 people in one particular spot. And then we also try to minimize crowd as much as possible. It's better that they have small groups, many of them in a day, than having everybody in one place.
Professor Iwu further advises against complacency as the fight against the virus is yet to be won. In Owerri, Bright Ebuchi, NTA News.
The Nigeria Customs Service Area 1 Port Harcourt has generated about 39 billion naira revenue despite the harsh economic realities occasioned by COVID-19. Outgoing Area Comptroller Awal Muhammad said this while handing over to the new Area 1 Comptroller Yusuf Garba. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The Area 1 Custom Command set out revenue target for the year 2020 is estimated at 83 billion naira. At a time, the outgoing Customs Area Controller assumed duties. The harsh economic realities occasioned by COVID-19 notwithstanding, the command recorded aggregate revenue of 39 billion naira as at the end of August 2020. The command insistence on due process, enhanced security surveillance of the maritime domain against the activities of smugglers, and robust synergy with key stakeholders of different associations in the sector contributed to the successes recorded.
While we are trying to make sure that you convince us and you are doing the right thing, we are also trying our best to make sure that revenue is not being lowered or not being properly accounted or paid for.
The new controller, Area 1, Yusuf Garba, said his administration will give zero tolerance to smuggling, calling for support of the relevant stakeholders towards improved revenue generation.
Certain conceived motive of smugglers to undermine national security and to sabotage the economy cannot work.
During the period of January through August 2020, the Area 1 Command seized a 3 by 20 feet vegetable oil container and arrested 2 Lebanese who attempted to smuggle $890 million out of the country. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that's Nationwide today. We thank you very much for watching, and do remember to stay safe. COVID-19 is real.